The things that we do consistently define who we are, period, done. It's not who we want to be. It's not who we say we are. It's not who we think we are. It's the decisions we make on a consistent basis, day in and day out, define who we are and how the world sees us.
What is the thing that comes to top of your mind that you're deeply grateful for?
Based on it, where I was in my life, what my childhood looked like, if you took a snapshot of that when I was my kid's age, how much money do you want to bet that this kid is either dead or in jail or living the life he lives? 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 people are putting their money on the kid going to jail or being dead. No doubt. And I've been able to reverse it, and I've been able to break the chain.
Hi, and welcome to Common Denominator, a podcast about growth, mindset, and entrepreneurship. I'm Moshe Popack, and today we chat with Michael Chernow. Michael is a big-time high achiever. He's a chef, a restaurateur, an entrepreneur, and a fitness fanatic who overcame drug and alcohol addiction. And above all, through his Creatures of Habit platform, Michael's goal in life is to give people the power to harness healthy habits from wake up to wind down. This was an impactful and inspiring conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Hi, Michael, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
So I really love, whenever anybody comes up with kind of their platform, there's always usually like weeks of thought and writing and ideas. And for me, the idea that you have, Creatures of Habit. And I talk about habit a lot, and I think about habit a lot. What's the core meaning of Creatures of Habit, and why is that so important to you?
It's interesting. Habit for many years, for me, was a negative thing. It's rare that you hear people talk about all their great habits. When you hear the word habit, most people say, man, I gotta kick this bad habit. And I kind of wanted to change the conversation of habit. Habits have played a massive role in my life from as early as I can remember, but for many years, my habits nearly killed me. Painted this really dark, gray, non-proactive, bland lifestyle. And when I finally came to, I was 23 years old after about a little over 10 years of just absolute debauchery and, I just want to, there's a lot of reasons as to why I did what I did. I think I don't have any excuses for why I did what I did when I was living life as an active addict and alcoholic. But I was lucky enough to find a little moment of grace when I was 23 years old and ask for help and change my habits from terrible to fantastic. And so the conversation for me about habits today is all positive. And when I was thinking about what my next business was after I had, had an exit from a restaurant company that I founded in 2015, I exited late 2014. I exited late 2019. I knew that the next business for me had to align with my belief in habit and my belief in the things that we do consistently define who we are, period, done. It's not who we want to be. It's not who we say we are. It's not who we think we are. It's the decisions we make on a consistent basis, day in and day out, define who we are and how the world sees us.
By the way, that's super, super, super important, I think, for all of humanity. I always, because it's super, as far as the Common Denominator podcast, I try to talk about the things we have in common. And I think if you break it down micro, it's literally the habits.
I couldn't agree more, and by the way, habits are also things that we don't do, right? Like habits don't have to be only action. Habits can also be inaction. And so going to bed late, waking up late, grabbing a donut, or grabbing a bowl of meal one, not eating until 4 o'clock in the afternoon because nutrition's not a priority for you. And then all of a sudden you gorge on a meal and you feel like shit. And, so like habit is really, there's so many different ways to define what habit means, but ultimately what it boils down to for me is we are making decisions from the second we open our eyes till the second we go to bed and close our eyes and fall asleep. The whole entire day is based around decision. What are we going to do or not do? And I'd like to, I think I've thrown my flag in the ground as a human being that really does believe in life is a day. It's all you get. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So our life is literally lived in a day. You get to put numbers on the board today. You cannot do it yesterday, and you certainly can't do it tomorrow, right now. So we have to live our lives like, this is what we get. And if you can commit in the morning, which is when I like to make my commitment for my life every morning, you commit in the morning and you basically look at the decisions as they come your way. And ideally, you're making better decisions, also known as done consistently habit. And then those habits done after long periods of time simply become who you are in your lifestyle.
How do people, I was just thinking, just because you keep mentioning about decisions, and I know it's extremely hard because, again, it's always about the practical advice that we can give people. How would you say that it became easier for you, like a practical tool, to make decisions and then make good decisions? Like, how did that, because you don't have any reference point, right? You're 23 years old, right? You again, we always talk about that also. It's like you hit this rock bottom. Like, where do you go to? I've never made good decisions before.
So that's a great question, and I'll give you an answer. That's just relevant to me. So I said a little while ago, I was lucky enough to have a moment of grace where I was able to reach out and ask for help. And when people ask me today, hey, Mike, is there a piece of advice that you can give that you would want everybody to hear? And typically, what I answer that question with is ask for as much help as possible, way more than you're comfortable asking for. And asking for help for me has been the catalyst to my success and happiness. I ask for an ungodly amount of help, and I have no shame around it. I used to feel really insecure about asking for help. Oh man, they're going to think I don't know how to do it, or, I got this, I can do this. My ego is, I don't need anybody. And the truth of the matter is that gets you nowhere. No one ever won a war alone, ever. It's never happened. No one ever has won a battle alone. It doesn't happen. It happens with an army. And so I've just become very comfortable asking for help. And so when I was in that moment of desperation, when I needed to make a change in my life because I was knocking on death's door, I asked for help. And that was the first moment in my life where I really felt like I had done something valuable. When I think about my adult life, that moment where I said, I need help. And so I was able to connect with a couple of guys who were 10 years my senior and who had been sober for at least 10 years. And they wrote a plan for me. They literally sat down with me and they said, this is what you're going to do, kid. And if you do this, your chances of success are not guaranteed, but far greater than if you don't do this. And I was desperate, truly desperate. So I listened to what they had to say and I began the journey. And that journey that those guys had sort of written out for me truly has paved the path of my life. And it's given me this idea that I don't have to worry about tomorrow or next week or next month or next year or 5 years from now? Because the time that I spend worrying about that is time that I'm not spending focused on what I've got to do today. And if I can just nail this shit today, if I can wake up early, ask God for help, take care of my hygiene, do some movement, now my morning routine, when I'm like in my ideal scenario, when I'm not traveling and I'm at home and I'm grounded, my morning routine is extensive. It's like I literally do think about it as pouring the foundation of my day, which ultimately, like I said a moment ago, is my life. So I literally want to start on a firm bedrock foundation so that I can build a structure throughout the day that's going to stand the test of time. So it makes me stronger, feels more confident, has more courage to then do it again tomorrow. And
I'll tell you this, it's amazing because I think about this all the time. Nobody's won a war alone. What you said, that point, it's not just team play that gets any result, right? The result is you have goals. Every human has goals. And what I find is you have to find people that have alliances with your goals.
Everything that I've done in my life over the last, well, not everything I've done, but over the last 15 years that I've really started my first business, and, I owe to the people I surround myself with, period. Because I just know, I'm not saying that I don't have a big role in those things, but I just know that they would not have come to fruition had I not brought them along the ride with me. So the success of the businesses that I founded, the fitness challenges and competition that I've done, my ability to, be in my mid 40s and sustain a physique of that of a 22-year-old, like all those things have come from my comfort and ability to ask for help. And I don't know any other way at this point.
And
I think
I'll
that
tell
young
you,
founders, young entrepreneurs specifically, people that are coming up, whether entrepreneur or not, athlete, whatever you are, the thought of asking people for help on a regular basis and being able to delegate things out is arguably and typically the biggest challenge.
how do people
Right?
do, I was thinking also, you talk about habits, day to day, right? So you're having these habits that are producing good results, right? You have a habit, you're doing it, producing good results. The side of the brain, and you're seeing everywhere that kind of immediate gratification, and you're actually bored in your mind, right? If you're extreme personality, right? Because people that can produce outside results, either, I always say that, either under the bridge, or they're really doing tremendous things. So it's a matter of where you focus your energy. But what happens, you've experienced certain things in life that are extreme, and then you have habits which are good. So what's a practical tool to neutralize the fact that you would feel bored any which day? Because, as you're going through, everybody has some sort of addiction, right? So how do you kind of neutralize that noise in your head?
I mean, I think it's a culmination of things. Mindset and mindfulness has become a big part of my life over the last, 10 years. I don't, I meditate pretty much every day. I still struggle with it. I think that's kind of the path of meditation, right? Like, I'm still not a good meditator, but I make it a point to do it every day because it does give me at least 15 minutes of my day where I am totally undistracted and I'm genuinely trying to do nothing. Like I'm literally trying to do nothing at all except breathe. And I think that because my nervous system is typically like, on fire most of the time, because I'm either working my ass off as a founder and a CEO, or I'm in the gym getting after it, working towards some fitness goal. My nervous system is typically you know, active. And so for me to mitigate that, I really do need to intentionally do things that force me to slow down. And that is a few things. And this doesn't necessarily have to be for everyone, but tactical things that I can share with you guys. One, prayer in the morning for me is major. So no matter what, my morning routine every single day without fail, I don't miss it. It doesn't matter where I am. I could be traveling, I could be on no sleep, whatever it is. I call it prayer, push-ups, and poses every single morning. I get on my knees and I pray. I ask God for help, and I have a whole prayer that I say that I've been saying for a long time. Right after my prayer, I go right into 50 push-ups, and then right after those 50 push-ups, I do yoga poses. And it takes me about 10 minutes every morning, non-negotiable. That's what I do. Sets me up, kind of like right sizes any anxiety I might have woken up with, whatever. So that gives me a little neutralization from the intensity of my life. Two other things that I do that I would recommend anybody doing if you have the ability. Now, I've worked my ass off, so I do have the ability to do this today. And I used to carry shame around it when I first started doing it, but now I don't. I have breakfast every single morning with my family, my wife and kids, every single morning. I'm typically done with my morning routine by 6:30, and that's when they're getting up. And so from 6:30 to about 7:30, 8, I'm with my family. I'm not on the phone. I'm not on my computer. I'm hanging out with them, having my coffee. I'm doing my thing, and we're just connecting. At 5:30 every single day, Monday through Friday, I stop working. I stop. I shut my computer. I get in my truck. I drive from my office to my house. When I get into the house, my phone goes on airplane mode, and I don't turn it back on until the kids are down at 8:30. If I have to get back on the computer, which is rare because I've set myself up for some, I've surrounded myself with great people, and, but if I do have to get back on the computer, I will open it up at 8:30 to get some work done. I always turn my phone back on at 8:30 just to check and make sure there's no, fires to put out. But those are ways that I've been able to truly have balance in my life. And it took me years to get there. Years. I was working, I could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No doubt. No doubt I could do that without stopping. No breaks. Yeah. But I've learned that that's just not an efficient way to work. And also, I had to ask myself the question when I was working like that, am I working to live or am I living to work? What am I doing here? Like, is life worth living if this is what it's going to be forever? Yeah. And when I asked myself that question, I was like, no, like money is not going to do shit for me if I can't enjoy it. Right? If I'm working around the clock and I actually can't go on vacation with my family, I can't go out for a nice dinner with my wife every couple weeks. I can't do any of these things because I am constantly working. And even if I get a little break, my brain is just not able to be available for anything else outside of work. Yeah. Not sustainable.
I love
and
that.
It's not healthy.
I love that. I love that idea that, the idea of balance. It's extremely hard. But you just have to set that up, and just make that happen. I know a lot of your business ventures were in the food space. With growing up, were you very involved with passion for food? I know one of my kids is that way, and I think he's going to have restaurants. Was that something that learning about food, ingredients, was that just something that's a passion of yours?
No, I just wanted to work. Very, from as early as I can remember, I wanted to work. I always thought entrepreneurially as a kid. I lived on 87th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, and I would ask my older sister when I was like 5 years old to come downstairs so I can lay out a blanket in front of my building and sell all my toys. I was walking dogs in the neighborhood from 7 years old on. I just always wanted to make, do, and create and work. And so the first real legit job I was able to get in an establishment was when I was 12 years old, and it was a vegan restaurant on the Upper East Side. and they let me deliver food for them. And once I started, immersing myself in the restaurant and doing the food deliveries, finally they gave me a job in the kitchen as a prep cook and a dishwasher when I was 13, and that's how that story began to write itself. I just fell in love with the world of restaurants, and then ultimately I understood, and I think I knew this before restaurants, but restaurants allowed me to actually realize it, was that I love people. I love connecting with humans at scale. That's my superpower. Being able to sit in a room anywhere and connect. I love connecting.
Yeah.
And so that's what's allowed me to sort of build and do the things that I've done, is because I really do know that I have a talent for humans.
People,
I've got a real love for it. And then, of course, being in the restaurant business, becoming passionate about food and passionate about beverage, and then ultimately, of course, hospitality. I went to culinary school and I got my degree in culinary arts as a chef, and then I also got a degree in restaurant management. So, I went all in on the world of hospitality and restaurants, but at the end of the day, I think it was my passion to make. I wanted to make early on. I love making.
yeah,
I just do.
yeah,
I love making shit.
yeah.
And I think, that's been the propeller for me for as early as I can remember.
And restaurant businesses in general, I know they're super tough to be consistent over a long period of time, right? Um, yes, you do get to connect to the customers and the people, and I think that there's a yearning now more than ever for people wanting to connect with other people. I think COVID really showed that, and more people I speak to are looking, and they're kind of shy, and they don't know how. Most people, I think I mentioned this stat, but it was like 50 years ago, 70% would be a man, woman, and child of a household in America. Today, it's 17%. So you got to still figure out how you're going to connect with people, right? Other means and other ways, because that brings meaning and purpose, I think.
I mean, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. We're becoming dehumans. That's actually what's happening right now with technology. Um, Human beings are we are social beings. We're like there's like, I think dolphins and whales and us are the only living creatures that actually have the emotion and the feeling of love in our lives, that brings us together.
Yeah.
And with technology, that is no longer a gravitational pull, because we feel like we're getting it through technology, and ultimately it's not real. Human beings need to be together. We need to be in person, touching together, laughing, enjoying life together. And it's really sad what's happening, as far as I'm concerned. Like, truly, truly sad
I, I,
that
I think
that's
there's
not.
awareness, by the way. I think there's awareness of this. And it's like yin and yang, right? So people are going extreme, and then there's going to be balance, because whenever I'm in business meetings, I have this kind of passion project idea. It's with my wife and I, where they have these agri-hoods, like with fresh fruits and vegetables, and you can live in a community where everybody's pitching in, and you have this like farm life and farm to table food and drink and again music, but you live that way with your families, and we could be talking about super important business, and then when I just mentioned this in passing, every meeting people are like, oh wow, like I would sign up for that, like I want that. People, it just seems that way. I know, by the way, how has been your coaching? I know you do some coaching. What's like kind of the high level framework when you're working with people?
Habits.
So you just go straight to the habits, and I guess have them write down, right, that kind of self awareness maybe, right, and then have them
Basically, what
create.
I do with these guys is I mean, I obviously I coach them in fitness, nutrition, and mindset, right? I give them all the things that I do on a regular basis when it comes to fitness, nutrition, mindset, sleep habit. But ultimately, my goal with these dudes that I take on, and I only coach once a year in January. I do it for 3 months typically, and I take on 10 guys. And I do it because I really do love doing it, not because I'm making all sorts of money on it. Maybe down the road that'll be a thing that I do, but right now where I'm at in my career, I just don't have the bandwidth to do it more than I'm doing it now. But ultimately, I coach these guys for 12, 14 weeks. And by the end of the 12 to 14 weeks, my goal is to give them a morning routine that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives that will set them up for success. Because I just believe that without a morning routine, this is my own philosophy, but without a morning routine, your chances of true success are limited. If you don't have structure, it's very, very hard, as specifically as an entrepreneur, and most of the guys that I coach are entrepreneurs. If you don't have an actual structure for your day that starts early, it's very, very hard to sustain being your own boss. And I do believe that morning routine and that morning structure sets you up for absolute success. Mm-hmm. And so over the course of the 12 weeks, I send them an email every Monday morning with a new habit to stack. We all meet once a week as a group, and then I do a one-on-one with them once a month. And we check in about that week's habit. I tend to bring on some special guests to connect with the group. We had Gary Vee and we had Lance Armstrong. And then this month we have another special guest that I'll share about after we have them. But I bring on people that have helped me immensely in my life, that have inspired me and influenced me. And and these guys sort of walk away from this thing with half of them in the best shape of their life. They get a true education on what it means to eat well. And then they have this morning routine that they carry with them forever. And I know that they're not going to do 12 habits every single morning, like I do. I'm an extreme guy. I'm sure you know that. I'm an extreme human. I just am. But if they do 5 of them on a regular basis, that helps them feel like they've won the day already. I also think the reason why these habits have become so important to me in my life, and it really does start for me in the morning, like I said, but there's a number of things that I do throughout my day and in the evening as well that help me just be better, even if it's 1%. Even if they do 5 of these things that they carry with them, they've gotten enormous value,
Yeah.
The education also in nutrition, it's so interesting when you take someone who thinks they're healthy and you're like, all right, we're gonna truly look at what you're doing, and then I'm gonna tell you what to really do. And I want to see, very few people have ever experienced meal prepping, meaning you actually weigh the food that you eat based on counting your macros, counting your macronutrients. How many grams of carbohydrates are you eating day? How many grams of protein are you eating every day? How many grams of fat are you eating every day? A lot of people are like, oh man, I have 4 eggs in the morning with avocado and a slice of whole grain toast, and for lunch I have 2 chicken breasts and a cup of rice and what. And I'm like, okay, let's weigh it out. Let's weigh it out. And I tell them what they should be eating based on their weight, their activity level, their age, their height. And they're like, oh my God, 2 chicken breasts is 120 grams of protein. No one needs to eat that for lunch. That's if you're eating 120 grams of protein in one sitting, it's just not working for you. It's so interesting to see these guys after they actually take a few weeks and actually weigh out their food and see what they're actually eating, to realize that they're eating 4,500 calories a day.
By the way,
Thinking,
it must be super rewarding to see after those few months and see those actual results, done. I noticed, by
oh
the
my
way,
God,
you
crazy.
mentioned Lance Armstrong. How was that? I know you had him on your podcast. How was that? How was that experience talking with him?
I love that guy. He's become a really good friend of mine. Um, he's not only an investor in Creatures of Habit, but he is a believer in the brand. He's a believer in me. He's been like, it's super gratifying for me, obviously, right? Like when I got a guy like Lance Armstrong that like wants to be around me and work with me, and invite me to stay at his house, and like it's just, the guy's a legend, and so being able to connect with him and potentially, build business with him is a sign that I'm on the right path,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they say like attracts like. So, years and years of the work is really amazing. Michael, I want to ask you, right now, if you look back at your life, what is the thing that comes to top of your mind that you're deeply grateful for?
My wife and my children, period.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. They say
I
if
don't care.
you
I don't care about anything else.
right behind every great man is a much greater woman.
Yeah, I mean, look, like really, if I peel back the onion to the core, my sobriety, the when I got sober almost 20 years ago, that is everything. I owe everything in my life to that.
Mm.
I am so grateful that that was something that I was able to do, and not alone, with the help of many and God. But after sobriety and my ability to like be consistent and commit there,
Mm.
the fact that I was able to find my wife, marry the love of my life, have her in my, we're together. I'm sober almost 20 years, and Donna and I, April 23rd, is our 19-year,
Wow.
first date anniversary. So we've been together since we're kids. I love her more than anything in the world. And we've made these two beautiful kids that I can say today, I can't even believe it. I can't even believe that I have this family. Based on it, where I was in my life, what my childhood looked like. If you took a snapshot of that when I was my kid's age, when I was 9, in my little apartment on 87th Street, and with the crazy shit that I went through in my household, if you took a picture of that and said, how much money do you want to bet that this kid is either dead or in jail or living the life he lives? 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 people are putting their money on the kid going to jail or being dead. No doubt. And I've been able to reverse it, and I've been able to break the chain. And I'm here to say that my message as a human being and as the founder of Creatures of Habit, the brand that I currently own and operate, anyone can change at any time, period. Your past does not have to predict the present or the future. It can definitely do it if you allow it to, though. 100%, but you got to allow it to. It doesn't have to. And I know that to be absolutely 100% true, without a doubt, because I'm a living, breathing example of that. My childhood, the shit that I went through as a kid, and I'm not victimizing myself. I'm just telling like the brass tacks here. Like it was not fun. It was rough. It was hard, and I went through hell. But I'm here to say today, I love the guy that you're looking at right now. I love that dude, Michael Chernow, with all my heart, and I believe in that guy, and I've got nothing but faith and confidence in that guy. And the people that I've surrounded myself with have made that possible.
And what's something, Mike, what's something about you that people don't know?
Good question. Something about me that people don't know. Well, one funny fact about me that most people probably don't know is that I played tuba. I was a tuba player in junior high school and in high school. That's something that people may not know. But on a more serious note, um, something that people don't know. Oh, I've failed more than I've won.
Hmm.
I've failed more than I've won for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
We bring that out a lot in this show. How they talk about it a lot, but I try to bring out actual stories. But we bring that out a lot. It is the only way. There's no other way. If you want success, let's say you decide, I want decision, I want success. Part of that equation, the math, is that you have to fail many times in order to get that. It's 100% of the time. It's not maybe. It's 100% of the time. And anybody that tells you, oh, look at me, I've done that, they haven't actually done it. You peel back the layer, it's not there. They haven't become, it's who you become. They haven't become that person. But I want to thank you so much, Mike, for being on the show. I love your story. You should have tremendous success. Enjoy your family. How could people listen to your podcast, follow you on social, and perhaps coach with you as well?
you can find Creatures of Habit. It's Creatures with a K everywhere on social media at Creatures of Habit on all platforms. Creaturesofhabit.com is our website. And then the Creatures of Habit podcast is the podcast. So we've kind of made it easy for everyone. We've kept everything Creatures of Habit. To follow me on my personal journey, you can follow me at Michael Chernow everywhere. MichaelChernow.com if you want to. There's an opportunity to sign up for a wait list for next year for coaching. I only do it once a year, so I have a website that allows you to hop on a wait list for that, and you can learn a little bit more about me on that website. And aside from that, man, I'm super grateful for being here. Thank you so much for asking. I really do. I'm sort of living my purpose through this brand of Creatures of Habit. It's given me a real opportunity to tell my story, which is ultimately what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to create a brand that resonated with a lot of people, obviously generated revenue, but gave me a real platform to tell my story that anyone can change at any time.
I appreciate it.
And that's just the truth.
Thank you so much. It's really been great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Michael. Next week, more Michael and more motivation. Michael Anthony, a.k.a. Michael Unbroken, is the founder of Think Unbroken, a movement where he helps childhood trauma survivors break free of self-doubt, heal, and become the hero of their own story. Michael's childhood was brutal and included sexual and physical abuse, homelessness, and drug addiction. But through incredible courage, mindset, and hard work, he's the happiest and healthiest he's ever been, and his work has helped hundreds of people feel the same. His story is incredible, and this will be a powerful episode. If you're watching this show on Facebook or YouTube, we'd be grateful for a like, share, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, feel free to leave a rating and review. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.